Hello again. Today we're back with a couple different videos. This particular video has to deal with protection from abuse orders, and the reason that this is such an important video is because, again, it's one of the most asked about topics in my line of work. So I wanted to go ahead and talk to you about several issues with protection from abuse orders. First and foremost, when a protection from abuse order is in place, if it's in place for all the right reasons, like there was actual physical abuse or threats of abuse, and you fear for your safety or your children's safety or for other household members, I do think that a protection from abuse order should stay in effect. Now, if you've lied or exaggerated what actually went on and that type of thing, in order to get the protection from abuse order in place, you need to be aware that you may face charges for having done that, especially when there's police reports involved and that type of thing. And the reason behind that is because it is such a contentious matter, and it can ruin so many lives that you need to be aware of that. And if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, then, by all means, you should be punished for it. Because you can really ruin somebody's life, you can ruin somebody's employment opportunities and that type of thing by filing and making these false allegations against them that they then have to answer to. You can also make them lose custody of their children, and I know that some attorneys, not all, but there are some who will encourage their clients to file protection from abuse orders, especially in custody cases, for their children to get a heads, or for the other parent to get a leg up or a heads up in divorce or custody proceedings. And I don't agree with that at all. I've had cases before, cases in Baldwin County, in which I was told by other attorneys that, the filing of a protection from abuse order is standard practice. And no, it's not. It shouldn't happen in every case, and it shouldn't happen except for those cases in which it is truly warranted. Because if there is no protection from abuse order in place and it is truly warranted, law enforcement may not take the appropriate steps that they need to take to protect you or the other people that are named in the protection from abuse order. Okay, so it's very important that if you have one in place, and it needs to be in place to help ensure safeguards that it's in place for the right reasons. But say you want to get the protection from abuse order dismissed. Well, how do you go about doing that? Well, your first step would be to talk with the district attorney's office and go about getting them to dismiss any type of if there's an additional case attached to it, like a domestic violence case, which there often is. Usually there's a domestic violence charge, and then there's a PFA filed along with it. Okay, well, you need to talk with them about that particular case because they represent you on that case, and see if you can't get it dismissed, but make sure that your situation is such that you don't need it in place. Now, a lot of times it'll be set for at least 2 hearings: the temporary hearing and then a final hearing. And at the final hearing, if you want it to be dismissed, usually if neither party shows up, then it is dismissed. But I do not recommend that you just not show up and miss your court date, because it's not going to help anybody, and it definitely won't help the other party. So I suggest you go there and explain it to the judge and explain the reasons for why you want it dismissed. Another consideration to think about with protection from abuse orders is they sometimes can do more harm than good. At the end of the day, they are a piece of paper. Yes, they give law enforcement special directions or special authority to go ahead and arrest somebody and press charges against them for violating a protection from abuse order. Now, taking out a protection from abuse order has nothing to do with criminal law. Okay, that's a civil matter, a civil remedy, but violating a protection from abuse order can lead to criminal charges, and it is a criminal matter. When you've violated a protection from abuse order, you end up in criminal court for having violated it, and the penalty there is jail time or prison, depending on the severity of the violation, what's been alleged, what's gone on, all of that type of thing. There are penalties involved, and if there are prior charges involved, that can be a revocation of probation or parole for those prior charges. So it's very, very important that you take that seriously and that you know the difference between just getting a protection from abuse order placed against you and violating that same order. That's a criminal aspect of it, and a lot of people don't realize that. But there are a lot of people that truly need them, and it gives law enforcement the power to arrest somebody for having violated it. Therefore, you know, when I see cases that come in and to my office and they're like, oh, well, I want to dismiss it, you know, no, this isn't really what happened. I was mad and I, you know, overstated what happened and I exaggerated and this isn't really what happened. Well, it better not be what happened. You know, if what you're saying was enough to get a protection from abuse order and now you're changing your mind, you need to make sure that you're being truthful and that you're not putting yourself in further harm. But it can be a double-edged sword because at the end of the day, it is a piece of paper. It doesn't stop anybody from doing anything. If they're very determined to do it, and, you know, they may retaliate accordingly if one is taken out. So just be aware. Again, nothing stated in this video was meant to be construed as legal advice or anything like that, but you can also get an attorney. You can hire an attorney to file the appropriate motions to dismiss the protection from abuse order as well, or to, you know, vacate it. But like I said, nothing in here is to be construed as legal advice. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed are greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers. If you have any questions, feel free to call me. You can reach me at 251-943-4870. Thank you.